Today we're here to talk about this, the Argos catalogue. So I think most of you from the UK probably know what Argos is, but for those of you from far-off lands, it's basically a catalogue shop. So unlike most shops where you just take what you want to the counter and buy it, Argos would put out these big catalogues every year, and you'd order everything from the catalogue. So say you wanted to buy, I don't know, a chair. Say you wanted to buy a chair. You'd phone up Argos, you'd give them the item number from the catalogue, and then you could go pick it up from the shop. Yeah, pretty handy, wasn't it? And they used to have the catalogues in the shops as well, I think. Like, they had all these counters with the catalogues on top, and number pads as well, I think. So you could type in a number from the catalogue, and all the prices would come up on the number pad. I think they had little pencils where you could write down what you wanted to order as well. This was all very amusing if you were living in the early 2000s. But yeah, these catalogues were huge. They just had everything in them. So if you were a kid like me back then, it was perfect because they listed all the toys, games, movies, everything. In fact, I think I said in the last Coming Soon episode that these things were basically like the Bible for kids. I could just spend hours looking through them, and then maybe eventually I might get a couple of things from the catalogue. You know, if I nagged my parents enough, I'd get something for Christmas or my birthday, or a couple toys if they were in a good mood. But yeah, I think we better just dive right into this thing really and get to it and see what memories come out, because I might go on a few tangents here. I don't know. We'll see. So I'll zoom out, I think, to try and give you a better view. And who's that on the front? Is that Clifford, the big red dog? I think it is. Look at that portable DVD player as well. Yeah, this is old technology. This is. So new, the biggest ever catalogue. Yeah, these things were huge. They got bigger every year. So this is 1,000 pages. So God knows how long it's going to take me to go through this. All these offers at the start, like a cream sofa. Yeah, you never see cream sofas anymore, do you? That was a style at the time. For only £699, and they did delivery as well. So I remember those blue vans. So they would deliver to you as well. You didn't just have to go to the shop. But it looks like they did everything, doesn't it? Like loans. They did loans as well. So drive a bargain, get your car with an Argos loan, or change a room, or splash out, go on holiday, anything you want. Look at all these rates though. So this is it. You probably have to like set, if you bought the car through the loan, you'd have to sell the car to pay the loan back. That's where it was like, I bet. I bet they don't do any of this anymore. I bet it's all just gone. All the toys and stuff, I think, are at the back, so I have to get through all this jewellery stuff first. The Lord's Prayer Cross. See, a lot of religious jewellery as well. A lot of religious jewellery. I don't know. St. Christopher's. I think even my nan might have stopped short of buying this, to be honest. Personalised jewellery as well. Oh, so you could get your picture done. So we recommend that you do not use your only copy of a photograph. So you could send in your photograph and get it put onto a piece of jewellery. Yeah. There was a lot of choice back then. A lot of kind of Asian-inspired jewellery. I think that was coming in as well. There was a lot of Asian-inspired stuff around this time. I think maybe because the World Cup was in Japan, I think, in 2002. But, you know, there we are. So we've got anklets, thumb rings. What would you need a thumb ring for? Ear cuffs, toe rings. Because Argos caters to all forms of fashion. Stud earrings, yeah. I remember those were the only things you could wear in school. They'd only let you have stud earrings. Not that I wore them though. I don't like piercings. I don't like the idea of anything metal going through me. So this is blinding, all this gold. It's like dad. I don't think even my dad wouldn't wear something like that. KR, I don't know what that means. Oh look, there's an England one, so that's for like the World Cup. You know, it was a football year, I think. Not that I know much about football, but you know. Onyx. That just makes me think of the Pokemon Onyx. Fila watches now. Quality without compromise, 3-year guarantee. Yeah, these are a bit more expensive. What's this? What? Oh, that's great. The choice of Vinnie Jones. Would you argue with this man? That's a threat. That advert is a threat. That's basically, if you don't buy this watch, I'm gonna crush your skull. That's funny. Look at the shape of this. That is the weirdest shape for a watch I've seen. I remember that. That was for kids. That was it. Triax Junior. These are the weirdest shaped watches ever. Even he's like, "What is this watch? What is the shape of this watch? What did you just try to sell me?" Watch and calculator mouse mat sets. Oh, so you got a mouse mat as well with a calculator on it, I guess. A calculator mouse mat. All about combining two things back then. Everything had to be two things at once. Can't just be a mouse mat, it has to be a calculator as well. Wake up and bounce around to Tigger. So these are clocks now. Oh look, there's Bagpuss again. And Monsters Inc. Look at that, Monsters Inc. That would have been just out at the time, I think. Yeah, there was a lot of Monsters Inc. stuff around back then. Another Bob the Builder clock. I think I knew someone who had that. What is this? Rockwood Rover. Is that one of those dogs that flips backwards? Oh, and a cuckoo clock. An actual cuckoo clock. Oh, these ornaments, yeah. All grandparent stuff. Like these things, like mice in a shoe. Oh, it's Beatrix Potter. I used to like Beatrix Potter. I used to read those books growing up. Or glass chess set. Only £10. I thought that'd be expensive, but no. Chess. I never worked out how to play chess though. I had a Star Wars chess set when I was about 9, but I didn't use it to play chess. I just used the pieces as like action figures. So. Funky Friends. Oh yeah, I remember those. All the girls had stuff like that. This was everywhere back then. Groovy Check, I remember that. Like that chair. I think there was a girl who had that. Is that Buffy the board game? Love Heart's chair? Yeah, even sweets they'd make merchandise out of. These hamsters, Kung Fu hamster. Everybody was Kung Fu fighting. I bet he sings. Oh my, what is this? James Brown. A James Brown bobblehead that sings apparently. Is that like Addams Family hand? Oh, look at those terrible Tiger games. I had some of those, yeah. What is it, like Club Manager? So these are football themed. Imagine that. Imagine having to play a Football Manager Tiger game. How does that work? There's only 2 buttons. How are you supposed to manage anything? Shower clock radio. Oh, you could hang that up like shower gel. You know, like how shower gels have hooks on them, so you can hang them up. You could do that with a radio. But I guess it was waterproof. It better have been waterproof anyway. Yeah, everyone has an electric toothbrush now, though. No one needs a normal one anymore. It's Buzz Lightyear on that, though. I have Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. Look at that. Toothbrush. They used to do a lot of those. I remember the Bionicle ones that had like masks on them. Those were big. And just a Disney princess one for the girls, obviously. He's happy. Look at that. I'm brushing my teeth. Funk it up or leave it smooth. It's up to you. Look at these things. Crazy. I always used to steal my mum's hairdryer and use it as like a laser gun or something. Look at that. That would have been me back then, holding that Sully toy from Monsters Inc. Make their day. That would have been me. That kid was me. It probably was. They probably took that photo of me. Placemats. We still have those placemats somewhere. Look at that. Wow. Still have stuff like that. So it all came from Argos. I remember I had a friend who had those bread bins and things like that. Tea, coffee. Yeah. And the ones with I had a desk that was like that. Like this bread bin. It was basically a desk, but it had one of these doors on it. So it was just like a giant bread bin. It had the computer monitor on top. It's very strange. Yeah. I guess someone was inspired by a bread bin when they made my desk. George Foreman, look at that. The George Foreman grill is in here. Roll Out the Fat from 1999. Yeah, so when he was putting his name on this stuff, I guess that started maybe around this time. I don't know how old the George Foreman grill is, but, you know, there he is. Look at it. It's incredible. Now all I need is a new kitchen. Thinking of buying a new washing machine? How about a new kitchen to go with it? So get your loan from Argos and still be paying it back now. Those electric cookers, those green ones. Those, see, green is not a good color for a cooker. My nan had a green one. Think go black or silver, not green. Green just, I don't know. It's too garish. Brita, the only kettle to improve the taste of hot drinks. So wow. It's so transparent. I would have liked that back then, actually. If I could actually see, like, the water being boiled in the kettle. Instead of just, you know, having it be opaque, or whatever you call it. That would have been cool. But I guess this filters the water and makes it taste extra good. For the best cup of tea. Why would you need something like that? Some sort of novelty. That makes candy floss as well. Why is it shaped like a duck, though? What does a duck have to do with Pokemon? Popcorn, I mean. Pokemon? Did I just say Pokemon? There's George Foreman again. Baby George Rotisserie. He doesn't look like a baby, that's for sure. Smash my face in. Steam generator. That is huge. Look at that. Looks like some kind of futuristic robot or something, that does. Ironing boards. Hip chick. That, look at that zebra skin one. That's pretty garish, isn't it? Those flowers. I know. Why do ironing boards need decoration anyway? You're not gonna display an ironing board somewhere, are you? You're just gonna fold it up and put it in the cupboard. Vacuum cleaners now. We had a Dyson. I think it broke. I wonder if they have like the one with the face on it. Like the what was it? Harvey? Are they? Henry. There he is. Look, there he is. Henry Hoover. £95, wow, just for that, to have a thing with a face on it, and that's the only reason I was drawn to these as a kid, was that it had a face on it, like a cartoon character, and I guess the black part on top was kind of like a bowler hat. So I don't know, I'd be like, ooh, I want that Hoover because it has a face on it. Sofas, more sofas. Helsinki, Virginia. I have a friend from Virginia, and I wonder if his sofa looks like that. That's not too bad, actually, that one. That is crazy, though. Look at that. You would not want that sofa. That is a mess on wheels. I think it folds out into a bed. Yeah. Oriental. See, more Asian-inspired sofa. Look at that. That's kind of like Harry Potter or something, that is, isn't it? That pattern. It's like something out of a Harry Potter video game. That looks like a swimming pool or something. This does, like a swimming pool tiles. Look at that psychiatrist couch. My aunt had one of those, like a red one. I used to love that. I always called her a psychiatrist couch. Yes, TV units. Look at those. Widescreen TV back then. But all the widescreen stuff was coming in then. And look at the size of the CD player. It was huge. There's the VHS recorder. Gotta have one of those. I don't think widescreen looked that good, though, in standard definition. I mean, it makes a lot more sense now with a flat screen TV, but back then it didn't, you know, the square ones were just the better ones, I think. I don't know, they just, for the standard definition picture, they looked a lot better on square TVs. Widescreen wasn't that great until HD stuff came around. Because now they make the TVs properly for HD footage. Look at this wavy one. I don't think anyone would have that now. It looks fragile. And I don't think anyone would put their TV on top of something that's like, you know, because it's just not straight. I bet you those things broke very easily. Big widescreen TV. They were huge, weren't they? That one has a DVD player in it, so you have a DVD player, but apparently he also needs a TV with a DVD player, even though he has one down there. That bunk bed, I would have loved that bunk bed with the ladder up top. I always wanted a bunk bed like that, with a TV underneath and the desk space, like a PS1 as well. Would love that, and the computer. Look at that. That would have been a great bedroom back then. Cameras, look at these cameras. Was this before video cameras were coming in? Digital ones, you know. Probably still had to get these developed, actually. I think we had the Polaroid, though, which printed out the photos when you took them, so that was pretty posh back then. SCART cables, you know. What lead do I use? HDMI isn't here, though, definitely. Here's the tellies, look at the square TV. £99. 14 inches. That's the size of my TV. That's the I have a Sony one now. The Trinitron. I don't think it's in here, but that's my small TV that I bought to record the videotapes and stuff for the videos. And that I had that. Yeah, that's in the that's the one in Coming Soon. Yeah, it's that TV exactly. The ultimate home entertainment system. That is huge. Look at that. Look at the size of the speakers. The massive hi-fi system. DVD, video player. No PlayStation though. And more speakers. It's a bit excessive, isn't it? DAB, new digital radio. So this is when they invented digital radio. Look at the size of it though again. You can get these really small ones now. And they were expensive too. So you had to cough up at least 80 quid for a digital radio. Now every radio is pretty much digital, isn't it? No one tunes in anymore. That's huge again. That's like from the 90s, that looks like. Sing karaoke in your own home. I think we had a karaoke machine. Like, look at that, Pop Idol. A Pop Idol karaoke machine. We had one of those, and I think I used it once at a Halloween party, and it was very embarrassing. I'm glad there's no footage of it. Video game consoles, here we go. Xbox. The Xbox, so this is when this just came out. £200, which is pretty good going, to be honest, for a games console. When now they're like £500, so... That was when the Xbox first came in, with the original controller. Not the slim one, that was the big fat one they made originally. My friend down the street had an Xbox, and I thought it was very cool. He had a GameCube as well, so I was very jealous, because I only had a PlayStation. So buy an Xbox console, any game from a choice of 6, an extra controller, and a memory card. Choose one game from a choice of 6. But that's one of those terrible third-party controllers, which are awful. They are so awful, those controllers. Look at that, Spider-Man's there. Loved that game. That was a game we always played on my friend's Xbox, because it had extra levels on the Xbox. That Spider-Man game. Halo as well. Amped. Is that like a snowboarding game? And that is a terrible third-party controller. And the remote, yeah, you needed a remote as well, a DVD remote. You couldn't play DVDs out of the box with the Xbox, you needed this remote. So that was always a downside. That's why it couldn't quite catch up with the PS2, which could just play DVDs. See, there's the GameCube, look at that. Love the GameCube. I do have a GameCube as well. And an Xbox. I have them all now. I didn't have them back then, though. Just the PS2. £130 though. So that was a cheap one back then. But it only played games, so it just, you know, it was just a games machine. But I used to love the GameCube. And again, look at the horrible controller. Look at that. 50 quid for a PlayStation 1. £50. That is dirt cheap for a PlayStation back then. I guess it was on its way out by then, though. See, look at Spyro. Yeah, that was a game. Spyro, Year of the Dragon. £13. So PS1 had gotten mega cheap. E.T., that was a game. Game Boy Advance, that had just come out then. £70. So the handheld was more expensive than a PS1. I would have gone for the PS1, to be honest. GBA games, so Monsters Inc. Star Wars, I had that Star Wars game. Scooby-Doo again, The Magic Ring, that had a game? Wow. Spyro again on Game Boy. Yeah, I did have it. I had like the flip top one, the SP. That's the one I had. That was a couple of years after this though. I had a Game Boy Color to start with. Get ready to be disappointed, boys. All these phones, so these were very expensive because they only just started getting big. Nokia, everyone had a Nokia. Are these walkie-talkies? Oh, they are. £40. NTL made walkie-talkies. I didn't know that. And cable and wireless too. Computers. God, these computers. I wonder how outdated these computers are now. Because I did not have a computer until 2004. The internet was a mystical thing to me. And yeah, we didn't even have the internet until 2005, so... Yeah, I wonder how limited these were. A 40GB hard drive. So yeah, not much. 256 megabytes of RAM as well. Wow. I have 16 gigs now on mine of RAM, so... And they were like £1,600 for that much RAM, 256 megabytes. That's mental. And the laptops were really expensive as well. They were so chunky too. So you would have had to be one lucky kid to get one of them. And PC games. I don't think PC games had really quite taken off yet. I mean, they really have now, but... In the shops, it was a lot of, like, the cheap stuff, you know? Like, look at that, Grand Prix 4. So, you know, it's not like it is now where you can get all these big games just like you can on a console. A lot of cheap stuff like this Explosive, like a lot of old Sonic games were on here. Like Flight Simulator. Quicken? Isn't that like an accounting thing? See, like, it's all educational stuff, like your GCSEs. Do your GCSE maths. Let's, I remember them. PDAs, yeah. A couple of posh people had these. Not anymore, though. With this, it was kind of like a Nintendo DS before a Nintendo DS existed. You could use the stylus to... oh, look, Microsoft Word was on this. That's weird. Must have been very simple back then. Printers. I hate printers. Printers suck now. They just do not do what you want them to do. I'd throw my printer at the window if I could. Webcams are here. This was before YouTube, even. So even before YouTube, you could, you know, film yourself, I guess, for £20. I wonder how bad the picture quality was, though, on that, because it's not the best even now if you buy a webcam. Like one of the cheap ones. Gamepads, joysticks. My friend had all these PC joysticks. He had one that had like a bunch of other buttons on it as well, like a control panel. And all these control pads, yeah. I mean, those aren't too bad. I mean, that one's pretty bad. That one looks okay, though. Wingman, yeah. That must be for the Flight Simulator games. That doesn't look too bad, though, for a PC. But now everyone just plugs in Xbox controllers, so... And look at this CD. That's like a bread bin for CDs. And calculators, yeah. They made us pay for these in school. When you did your maths, you had to do your maths exam. You had to buy one of these to do the exam and pay. I think it was like £12 by then. So either the price had gone up or they were ripping us off in school. So it was like you have to pay £12 to get this calculator so you can do your maths exam. But I used it it was a toy as well for me in school. In maths class, because maths is so mind-numbingly boring that you just pick up the calculator and start playing with it. So I don't know, you play around with numbers and sums just to while away the maths lesson. Just out of pure boredom, you start playing with a calculator and try to get type in the biggest number possible and get the syntax error, and you win the game, basically. Look at these big computer monitors, though. See, I would have liked something like that. My one was like a bread bin, though. Workstations. See, that looks quite nice. That I think we had that. Yeah, we had that. This with on wheels, yeah. It slid out. That was our first desk for the computer in 2004. I think it was that one exactly. I think it broke after a while though. The wheels broke off. That's pretty weird, like a triangle one. To save on the corner space, I guess. Like, look at that. That's not a bad setup. If I'd had that in 2002, I would have been a very happy kid. That one has a shutter. Look at that. You can shutter the computer. In case you don't want people to steal it, I guess. I don't know. You can shutter the computer. That's amazing. See, look at that. That's not too bad. I quite like these, actually. These are a bit, you know, these aren't too outdated. They're quite cozy. Look at that. Wow. That would be a hell of an office space, wouldn't it? With your big, bulky monitor. At least you have space for it up there, though. That's not a bad setup. Oh, look at that. Fire kills. Look at that. They made a fire extinguisher. Fire kills fire extinguisher. That's crazy. That was the fire safety campaign back then. Maybe it still is. I can't even remember now. But apparently they made fire extinguishers. So, yeah, you can get your fire kills fire extinguisher. Or drills, yeah. Get him one of these, this'll shut him up. In-car DVD video players. But look how huge that is. How are you supposed to fit that in the car? I mean, it's £400. Like, look at this thing. There is a brick. Where's it gonna go in the car? Like, you put this on the floor or something, and then you put this on top of the dashboard to watch it. That is very bad. Like, you're gonna crash the car watching that. The ideal garden family with this kid smiling. I wouldn't have been smiling if I had to pick up the shrubs. I would have been like, oh, I want to go play instead. Chainsaw. Look at that. Get your chainsaw. Start cutting something up. A coat for your dog. Why do dogs need coats? They already have coats. It's already got a coat. For goodness sake. Look at that for a dog in a car. A dog driving a car. Avoid expensive vet bills with Scooby-Doo. I do like that they put the toy there. I don't know. It's a bit different. Rather than putting a sad dog or something. What on earth are these? Are those like those electro pads? I don't think they make those anymore. Like you strap them on and like you, they electrocute you? I don't know what they were for. Losing weight or something? I have no idea. I knew someone who had those once and I mystified by it. One of those bikes. My friend had one of those right up the back and it was all rusty. And we just used it for fun. For no reason, for no apparent reason. It was ready to fall apart, that bike was. Travel services. Now, see, it's a Barbie plane. I wanted that plane when I was younger. That's the only Barbie thing I've ever wanted. Was this plane. Right there. I saw the advert for it. It's the only time I've seen a Barbie advert and thought I'd actually quite like that plane to use with my toys, but I never got it. I hasten to add, I never got the Barbie plane. Other than that, I hated Barbie. At least there's a heavy-duty fireman's outfit, isn't it? It comes with a mask and everything. Dress up, play dress up. With, what have you got? Snow White and, you know, Cinderella. The nurse, I don't remember the nurse Disney princess. Oh, is this the baby toys? I hated these. Shoo Shoo, that was the worst one. That was everywhere, Shoo Shoo. That was by Zap Creation, was it? Yeah, Zap Creation, there it is. They used to make all these baby toys. Baby Annabelle. This advert was everywhere. Scooby-Doo, I remember him. Snack Attack Scooby. There was one on a pogo stick as well. That was the one that was on telly all the time, the pogo stick one. Pogo Scooby. Animal Hospital. See, every show got toys made. Here, kids, get some sick animals to play with. You know, there could be a death's door. They might as well make an RSPCA action figure that comes with a gun that goes to the dog's head. That's what they should have done. Maybe in the 80s Argos catalogue they sold that. Barbie. Yeah, see, I hated Barbie. Aren't they making a Barbie movie now? Which is probably just going to be one of the worst films ever seen by humanity. Rapunzel, that was one of the films, wasn't it? Together we can do anything. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair. Is that Ken? I still kind of hate Barbie. That was my worst enemy when I was a kid. I wanted to get a Barbie doll and just rip its head off. Or melt it with like a magnifying glass. I mean, all she does is the same thing. Like, it's just dress up, get in a car. She never does anything exciting. Like, can't she go explore, like, a tomb or something? Or, like, do something like Lara Croft would do? You know? Someone who's actually interesting. It's all this uninteresting stuff. It's very boring toys. Cindy, that was the rip-off Barbie as well. She was around everywhere. It's like, she's so Cindy. Pop idol Cindy. See? Bit of a partnership there. Mermaid Cindy. I think that was the big one. Disney princesses, you know. At least the Disney princesses are a bit more interesting. See, look at that castle. That castle's pretty good. I would have liked the castle. Polly Pocket, yeah, she was kind of the hip one. Polly Pocket. But could you actually fit her in your pocket? I don't think you could fit all this in your pocket. Diva Stars. A lot of, you know, I'm not sure if Bratz was around yet, but it was sort of, it's kind of a bad message, really, like to be a diva and to be a brat. Oh, there they are, look, Bratz. Look at them. Meet the new Bratz member, Megan. What were their names? Yasmin, Jade, something, and Sasha. These were really, like, unpleasant toys. Because, like, it's just a terrible brand idea, like Bratz, like Be a Bratz, like, you know. I thought that was terrible even then. I was like, why would you want to be a Bratz? Like, you know, that's not a good message, really. Betty Spaghetti. I think I remember that. She was really flexible, wasn't she? I don't think it lasted long, though. Oh, like Mary, Kate, and Ashley are there. So you can get Mary, Kate, and Ashley dolls. I thought they were 3 girls. I thought there was a girl called Mary, Kate, and Ashley. I didn't realise Mary Kate was one name. So I thought it was Mary and Kate and Ashley. But yeah, they vanished after this, didn't they, though? They were not... You could tell it's not a very big section. They vanished after that. They had all those movies as well. I have some of those. Winnie the Pooh again. Look at the little drawing table, Smoby. I couldn't draw back then, though. I had to learn how to draw much, much later in life. So that wouldn't have been me at the Smoby table, you know. Or this, like a chalk one. Smoby. What happened to Smoby? Did they still make kitchens? I don't think so. Crayola. Those were all the crayons back then. In school. All this drawing stuff. Which I just somehow missed out on. I had that. I had that, like, felt tip pen set. Didn't use it very often, though. Had paint as well. Wow. I remember that Mr. Frosty, he had an advert. You can make snow cones, yeah. Ready, Steady, Cook. Look, there's Ainsley Harrier, I guess, technically. There was I remember these. These were on TV. There was a chocolate machine, a microwave, and a popcorn machine, and ice cream as well. Look at that. It came with a book as well, a recipe book. But yeah, this was when Ready, Steady, Cook was just really big. So they made toys out of it. And these adverts were on a lot. I'm not sure if Ainsley Harriet was in them, though. He might have been. Spirograph. That advert was on a lot. I didn't like that advert. It used to annoy me. Robot Wars. Oh. This was what I wanted as a kid. Well, I did. I had loads of this. This was just my favourite thing, Robot Wars. And they had all these toys. I'm not sure if they were in other Argos catalogues, but these toys were huge back then. Robot Wars. This was my favourite show. And then they made the big arena for all the robots to fight in, for all the mini ones, these mini bots. You could buy. I think they were exclusive to Argos, so you could buy all these mini ones, and you could fight it out in this arena. I got this for Christmas in 2003, and this was the most fun toy I ever had that Christmas. And there's the radio-controlled... I didn't like these, though, the Sir Kill-A-Lot, the radio-controlled ones, because you couldn't really do anything with them. You couldn't really fight with them, because they were really expensive. You could only really afford one. So I liked the smaller ones to fight it out. That arena was great. I still have a lot of Robot Wars stuff. I really need to do a video on this stuff, on the Robot Wars toys, because I have loads of them. And this as well, Smash and Crash set, where you could put them up and they'd smash into each other and fall into these pits. And those were the bigger toys. I loved those toys. There's Razor, Robot. I need to do a video on Robot Wars. I really do. Oh, there's other robot stuff here. Build your own robot. Kinects. That I remember wanting this arcade table thing. This looks pretty cool. It looked very big. But you probably have to put it together. Kinects, I remember being pretty complicated. People would come into my school sometimes to show us Kinects toys. From some company or something. They'd fetch, like, they'd be like, here, play with these Kinects toys. For an hour. And I was like, that was pretty nice of them. This as well. I remember this roller coaster. I bet this was a nightmare to put together. Oh, this big robot as well. Wow. It's incredible. Look at the size of it. Bionicle as well. I guess this was when Bionicle was coming out. I used to love Bionicle. These are the original ones I used to buy. Like this guy. This was my favourite. This red one. Spider-Man Lego, would you believe? From the movie, Spider-Man Lego. What is this? Lego Spybotics. These were deer. I thought that was pretty cool. The football table. Lego racers. Star Wars, so this is all Star Wars stuff. Jedi Starfighter. Jango Fett's Slave One, look at that, you know. You know they call it Starship now, not Slave One. I mean, good God almighty. That's how bad it is now. Yeah, but yeah, the Slave One ship, you could fire missiles from it. That's pretty cool, I would have liked that. I had one of these Starfighters, because I was definitely into Star Wars around this time. That was such a cool figure, Jango Fett. That was my favourite action figure. And I always wanted the Clone Trooper as well, but I never had one. My friend had them all. And the Jedi Dex, that was like a Pokédex, but for Star Wars. It had all the like mini games programmed into it. I bought that in 2005, so it was old by then. For some reason, I got that for my birthday. Look at that lunchbox. The flask, I had that flask. I had a Robot Wars lunchbox. And those lightsabers, those were so cool. Because they lit up. I had the cheap ones though, like the cheap plastic ones. There he is again, deluxe figure. Such a cool figure. And that speeder, that would have been cool. Obi-Wan, I used to love the Jedi figures. And these though, look at these creatures as well. I didn't have these though. These were expensive probably. Squidgy Guts, Squidgy Guts. Look at that outfit as well. I probably would have worn that back then. Those are the cheap lightsabers. The $7.99 ones. So we just had loads of these. And Star Wars Monopoly. Oh, there's the chess set, but it wasn't that chess set. It was I had the Episode 3 one, the Episode 3 chess set. Lego Star Wars as well, so it's the same stuff but Lego. Yeah, lots of Lego. The Lego was just so expensive though. It wasn't really worth it, and it would always fall apart. See Lego Harry Potter. £70 for the Hogwarts castle. Look how big it is, though. I remember wanting that. The big castle. And what is that, like the Dursleys' house? Look at that house. You could have like pull out the window, I guess, with the car. Like this big spider. Look at that spider. He's gonna gobble you up, boy. Harry Potter. Harry Potter toys were always a weird mixed bag, weren't they? They were all over the place. That was like Buckaroo, wasn't it? This Whomping Willow game. So it was all the cases would fling off like Buckaroo. But I didn't even have Buckaroo as a kid. I had the cheap one. I had Alibaba, mine was called. It's really cheap. And this, as seen on TV, I remember the advert for this. Like I think it levitated, the ball levitated or something. I kind of remember that advert. There was one with slime as well, I think. There was one with slime. Look at that doll. That's a weird doll. This outfit. Oh, there it is. I think it's this thing. Like, I think slime would come out of this snake thing. And you could put action figures in it. I thought that was cool. And now, look at this set. Like, that's huge. Would have liked that. Car, doll knotting. Who is that doll? Who's in there? Is that a Barbie doll? Why didn't they just put a Harry Potter doll in there? Oh, there's the slime one. See, again, there was an advert for it, as seen on TV. You could just slime a Harry Potter figure. Yeah, Spider-Man. I showed these off in the Coming Soon video, so... Yeah, it's when I had this big playset. It was amazing. Because it had a net you could dangle from the building. So you could trap a figure inside. And it had this flipping thing, so Spider-Man could flip into the bridge, and a big crane as well. And it came with this big backdrop. This was a great toy. I used to love that. And I mentioned this, but they gave him a motorbike and a car, and it was like, why does he need a motorbike or a car? He can web swing. Not that it stopped me from buying it, mind you. I was like, oh, well, you've got to collect them all. But, you know, I had that car as well. It had like legs and a pincer at the front. There was a helicopter too. That I used to love, the web shooter. That came out at the same time as the film. And I remember I emptied the entire thing all over my nan's living room. So it was covered in silly string. It took like ages to clean up. And I just wasted the whole can. And it shot water as well, but it never really worked with water that well, from what I remember. That I had as well. This was a really cool playset. Had like a cannon and magnets on it. It never came with these figures though. I always wanted like this Dr. Octopus and this Lizard and the Venom, but it only came with one Spider-Man. And they put him in all these different outfits as well, so there was so many Spider-Man toys. That was cool, this ice one. I had that one as well. I didn't have that one, I don't think. There was one with a big, like, claw on his arm. I used to love that. I used to try nicking these from friends, but they always find out. WWE, so it wasn't called WWF anymore. I don't know anything about wrestling, but I used to like these playsets. I had that wrestling ring with a guy sticking his legs out. I guess you could trap him in the bin. Mine was just like a bland wrestling set though. It didn't come with any figures though, but I didn't want them anyway, so I just put like Spider-Man in here and stuff like that and fight it in like the wrestling ring. That's where I'd use it for. I just thought it was a cool like arena set. You could make like the entrance as well. So the playsets were much cooler than the wrestlers. Thunderbirds, so you get Thunderbirds as well. Tracy Island, that was a big toy. I had that Tracy Island. It had lights and sounds as well. For some reason though, Thunderbirds was popular in the early 2000s and it's from the 60s. Which is kind of crazy when you think about it. So, yeah. I never had any of the Thunderbirds though, it was just the Tracy Island on its own. I just thought that was so cool. Was that Thunderbird 4, I think? That was a small one. Transformers. It was just called Transformers then. I had one of these. I never really liked Transformers though. I think I had something like this. One of these Optimus Prime things. But I was never that into Transformers because they were too complicated for me. Yu-Gi-Oh's here, like a Yu-Gi-Oh. The cards was the thing with Yu-Gi-Oh. It was like you have to collect all the cards. That was a big fad in school. But I never collected these figures. It was all the trading cards. Cubics, which I was obsessed with. I was absolutely obsessed with this Cubics. I thought these were so cool, these toys, because these talked. They made these small ones like this. This big one, this £20 one, talked, and you could transform it into a motorcycle and stuff. And this was just my favourite show when I was about 6. I should talk about this sometime. I don't know if I can get... I'd have to see if I can get the toy from somewhere. Power Rangers Time Force. Another thing I was obsessed with. This was my Power Rangers growing up, so just these figures... I had all these toys, basically. I had that, the Morpher. This was such a cool toy. Used to use it all the time. At that, I had the speeder bike. Those things that would morph, they would flip up, and it would be a human head, and then you could change it to a Power Ranger head. And the Megas, those were always the things that were hardest to get because they were so expensive. Like this, I wanted the dinosaur because you could control this with a remote. It came with a remote control, and I just wanted this so badly. This was just the big toy I wanted. 78 quid though. That's how much it was. That's so much Power Rangers growing up. It's another thing I need to do a video on. Digimon was here, but it was on the way out, you can tell. Because it's just the toys. Just the little toys. This is, well, Medabots. This was on Fox Kids, I think. But I never saw it. I kind of remember toys being out, but I have no idea what any of this was about. Not to be confused with BattleBots or anything like that. This was... I don't know what this was. Someone will have to explain it to me. And I showed this bit, the Beyblades, so yeah. I showed that in the Beyblades video that I just did. And I really wanted this... I never had a Beyblade. I'd always just play with someone else's, so... I really wanted this stuff, but I never had it, like the arena and stuff. Because it had all these pits you could fall into. I just thought it was cool. And there's like... I guess this is like Battletop's cheap Beyblades. I don't know, just the cheap stuff. Hot Wheels. I did have Hot Wheels, stuff like that. That would always break. It would always break after a certain amount of time. Action Man, he was everywhere back then. I had so much Action Man growing up. Him, I had that one with like the missiles on his arms. Because my cousins just gave me all their Action Man toys. Look through my eyes. So yeah, he had like a Secret Vision or something. Like a husky dog. Dr. X, yeah, they made loads of him. And this one guy as well, Gangrene. He changed his look so many times because he was like a cyborg. I remember the advert for this with the shark cage. Monsters Inc. Look at that. Monsters Inc. was out by then. I had these action figures. They talked. So they'd talk to you. It was like Sully and Mike. I had a lot of these. Like the CDA, like the yellow guys I had. Yeah. I didn't have these plushies though. There was like a big play set for this of the scare floor place. And that was one of my best toys growing up. Room guard as well. Guard your room. Toy Story, Buzz Lightyear. This is what I'd always end up with. On this Buzz Lightyear on the stand, I had this. I always wanted this one because he had long wings. But when you'd buy these ones, he'd always have these really stubby wings, and I just hated them. I wanted them to be these long wings because they didn't look like they did in the film. I was like, they're not this size. They should be like that. It used to annoy me. These are like racing cars, I think. This is the one that was on TV all the time, the ones that would flip upside down. So you'd ram them into the wall and it would flip upside down and keep on driving. I thought those were pretty cool. Just Tyco RC, that's who made them. Yeah, like I remember this was crazy, this one. That was a mental one. That was on TV. Lots of big toys. Big crane. Like those, we'd always have those mats on the floor, on the bedroom floor. Quick Fit Service Centre. So if you're going to have a job in Quick Fit when you grow up, get the Service Centre playset. Matchbox. Yeah, we had parts of that lying around, this playset, but we never had the full thing. It was like second hand, so we had like the plastic base. So we just had the plastic bit. More Hot Wheels. Cyborg City. Look at the size of that. I don't remember that one. That looks crazy. Do they have the Shark Park? That was the one I had. There it is. Look at that. Shark Park. 20 quid. That was the one that was on TV. They used to show ads for this all the time, where you take the car up and it would go into the shark's mouth and the shark would talk. But you could escape. Sometimes you could escape it. But I used to love that. But they sold the vehicles separately because they were cheapskates. Micro Machine, I had that. Super Stunt City. It would open up into this thing. Yeah, I had this. It was really cool because it was a big car and that would open up into a giant playset. But I don't think it came with Micro Machines. So you had to like use other small cars. That I had. I had that in like 2000. This ice thing that went all the way down into like a desert. That was like a Christmas present when I was 4 years old. More Hot Wheels. Kit Racing, I guess you had to put that together. And all these Scale Electrics tracks, I used to want these. I always had like cheap ones. Look at that. Look, that has 4 loops. That's amazing. Hot Wheels. So Hot Wheels were trying to make them as well. That's pretty crazy. I had like a cheap one, a really cheap one. There was a Simpsons one as well. I probably had that one, my first Scale Electric. That was one that used to have a lot of adverts with there was like a dad playing with his kid, and they'd be like dressed up as like this, with caps on. Harry Potter model kit, Hornby set, Extreme Sports. Yeah, Colin McKay skate park. Yeah, I would have loved something like this. I did have I had tech decks growing up. I used to love these. I put like Spider-Man on that. Everything was like put the Spider-Man figures on it. But I would have loved that to play with, the skate park. And yeah, I wish I had something like that. You could buy those in Woolworths before it closed. And there was a Mega Bloks one as well. Spy Gear, look at that. I remember all these. I always wanted those. We could listen in on people. Stretch Armstrong, look at that. I had one of those and I stretched it so much, he exploded into jelly. Like, this green, like, goo just came out of him when you pulled him too much. Rumble Robot? I think I remember these. These were, like, kind of like Robot Wars. I guess they talked, like, hail to the king, baby. I don't think these caught on, though. I kind of remember them. Wedgie, he was on a lot. I didn't have this, but he was on TV all the time. I guess he made pants noises or something, or I don't know. I don't know what he did. Wireless ready to rumble boxing. What was that? Like a board game version or something? Couple like paintball games here. Excite Striker, so that's like a sensor thing for your TV games, I guess. Scanners, those were big. I never got into this, but this was on TV all the time. There's the Jedi decks again. And it's Bop It. Like Bop It, I used to love. There's like a cheap Spider-Man game, but Bop It. This was my friend would always have this lying around, and you just had to have a go at it. Like if you saw it, it's like I gotta have a go at this, Bop It, and see how well I can do. I never did that well, but I wouldn't mind a go on this now. Actually, someone should give me one. I used to like that Bop It. That was like a Harry Potter decks thing. More board games. Oh look, there's Alibaba. Look at that. That was the cheap Buckaroo. Alibaba. It was Buckaroo, but it was Alibaba instead. That's the cheap version. That's where I had to put up with. RoboDoc, I remember the advert for that. Shh, don't wake Dad. That was an advert. Always wanted that game. I think my friend had that game. Michael Owen. I remember these Michael Owen toys. These had a lot of adverts, like big football sets. Again, though, I wanted these football sets, but I didn't even like football. Again, I was just like, oh, I'd love to have a fight with my action figures on that. Like Sabutio, or whatever they called it. That's where I'd want it for. Guess Who? Hungry Hippos. Operation. I sucked at things like that. Like where you have to put the needle into the, the small thing without setting it off. But there's normal Buckaroo. That's what I wanted. Frustration. Classic game. Kaplunk. At Monopoly Junior I had. And Twister, that was the game that would just have everyone all over the place. Monopoly, Cluedo, Simpsons Cluedo. I've never played Cluedo. Trivial Pursuit. That was on Sky a lot. That was a Sky game as well. Back then. Lord of the Rings. Barbie Simon, I guess. Hydro Strike, that was an advert. Uno, I always wanted that because it spat the cards out at you. Pictionary. Scrabble, always like a good game of Scrabble. This is the one I like, Deluxe Scrabble. I always wanted that because it was like, the posh one. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire had that. That was a good game. Spider-Man game. One Arm Bandit. I remember all these football toys that were big. I remember this thing as well. I think it was like 6 games in one, so you could play basketball and pool and all the rest of it. I think it's close to the end of this. And those houses, I always wanted those houses when I was about 5. We did have one. We had one that was like that. But I'd always go in the toy shop and be like, oh, I want the one that's like a castle and stuff. Like those, I remember those, you get those big outdoors ones. That as well, like little tykes. Trampoline, we had a trampoline like that. Paintball. Is that those tents, like a tweenies tent? I remember that. Bouncy Castle. I used to get bouncy castles for my birthday. Skateboard, probably with cheap plastic wheels though. My friend had a ramp like that. So yeah, Barbie bikes, Bob the Builder. I had a Spider-Man bike, I did. Everything was Spider-Man now, thinking back on it. That was a big thing for me. I think that is it. Look at that. She's ordering all that stuff from Argos, let me tell you. So yeah, I guess that's it for the Argos catalogue. So that was a lot of stuff, wasn't it? That was an awful lot of stuff in that catalogue. That was a hell of a lot of material to go through, but there we go. I guess that's what you expect for a 1,000-page catalogue. But yeah, I hope there was some good memories in here for you guys as well as me. That was definitely a trip.